Okay, well, it's noon. We'll go ahead and get started, get rolling today. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll recognize the quorum. We have all board members present, so we're good to go there. And as far as the action, the annual meeting, I guess, we'll do the annual meeting, which is a consideration board approval of the assignments. Has everybody got a chance to take a look at that and good with the assignments that we have?
Sure.
All right, can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Conflict of interest disclosure, Ruth handed those out. If there's any questions or concerns, same disclosure we've signed the last few years, so please sign them and get them back to Ruth if you would, please. In the confidentiality agreement,
I didn't make enough copies. I only got a few down here, so I'll have to catch the rest of you. That's just an annual thing HR would like you to sign every year.
perfect. And now we'll have the review of the hospital constitution bylaws by Kyle.
There's no changes needed.
Okay. Perfect. No, that doesn't require an action, so just, right, Ruth? We just
Correct.
make note of that? Okay, perfect. Consideration approval of annual review of contracts for patient services. It's 4 and 5 in our packet here. Kyle's also gonna go over that.
It's just updating your current
Yeah, there's
contracts.
Okay, there wasn't any.
no changes.
No changes or no discussion needed on that, so can I get
No.
approval of that?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The approval of the annual investment portfolio by Christie.
Did you put that in the PowerPoint?
I put it in the packet, but not on the,
Okay. So you should have all this in the packet, so we always compare what our investments have done in the last year and where we currently sit with our CDs. So New York Life investment, we netted 18% on that, so we're at 2.2 million. That just continues to grow, and we really haven't put any additional funding in it with the construction project, so that is all growth and dividends. Mid-States Bank, we have several CDs with them, and then 3.92% interest is our average. United Bank of Iowa, same, we have several CDs, for a total of $1 million for 3.78%. LPL Financial, we have CDs with them also of 1.5 million, which is on average 3.73%. Have interest receivable sitting out there at $19,000, so we have 5.5 million in investments at this point. And they averaged about 9.02% interest for the last year. We have some other assets that are are investments concerning our health partners of Southwest Iowa. Pretty much remain the same. We had a little bit of a loss this last year. We were investing in some additional software that took that revenue down. So, and that is after providing services free of charge to us founding members of that group. Berkshire Hathaway B stock that we've had for several years went up in value of almost 11%, 10.89%. So overall, we're getting about over 9% interest on our return on our investment. So I think it's pretty good. Last year was just a little bit less, and year before it was just a little bit more, but always been in the 7.5 to 10.8% return over the last 5 years here. Yep. So doing pretty good. Those amounts have gone down considerably because we've used funding for construction projects. But any questions on the investments?
looks good.
All right, if no questions, can I get a motion? Approval.
I'll move to approve the investment report.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next we got the consent agenda, which includes ABCD bullet points. Any questions or comments needed on any of those bullet points before we ask for a motion?
Nope.
All right, how about a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
To approve.
All right, we got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Med staff summary by Dr. Devine.
All right, we had our med staff meeting. We had a review updating the med staff committee assignments and department advisors, so each department has somebody they can go to and attend meetings. So anyone who didn't show up got extras. Dr. Sakundiak did an educational on care of patients with knee replacement on the 22nd of January. They're doing a little bit of a smart knee now, and anybody who's interested in that obviously should talk with their provider about that. We made it through the first 2 weeks now in the new rural health clinic. There are adjustments being made, but we have survived it so far. Still looking for things, but that's all right. They started construction and demo on the existing area, which will eventually be Pod A. So we have to work around that with some scaffolding and things like that coming up. Then Lindsay introduced our newest site nurse practitioner, which is Shelley Menard, DNP. She started on December 10th, and we'll see both kids and adults for med management. And it will now be known as Myrtue Mental Health instead of Behavioral Health. The updates to windows are going, and the demo of that second floor of the existing clinic is going on. We had appointments and reappointments, all of which were approved, and fortunately for all of us, it was a short meeting.
All right,
Questions?
Thank you.
all right, thank you, Dr. Devine. Next, we have quality improvement report by the Director of Quality Risk Management, Laura.
Okay, our system-wide QI meeting was held last week on January 21st with 15 departments reporting. Behavioral health evaluated no-show rates, care coordination, and substance abuse documentation. And they're really looking at patients that no-show and having that documentation and communication with those patients, so where we can make a difference there. Home health and hospice reviewed patient satisfaction rates, which were 92 and 91%. Dietary reviewed efficiency of nutritional service delivery and supplementation. So they really just want their patients to be evaluated within 24 hours, and they were at 92% on that. Cardiac rehab, they have new monitors for individual treatment plans, and they're evaluating that. And there was no inpatient or outpatient infections. So that's kind of the highlights from the top of that. So, any questions?
Thank you, Laura. All right, looks like Carrie's next on the approval of the capital purchase of the mini C-arm.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm here today to talk to you about a proposal that we put together for a mini C-arm. So I'm just going to bring this up so you have an image in front of you. But a C-arm is a piece of imaging equipment that's primarily used outside of the diagnostic imaging department. The biggest use of it right now for us is in surgical cases, so we use it in the OR rooms, but it can also be used in a clinic setting. This is an image of what a mini C-arm looks like. But kind of to give you an idea, we have a large C-arm right now that dimensions of just part of the piece of equipment are like 5 feet tall by about 7 feet wide. And looking at a mini C-arm, we're looking at it much more compact. Still 5 feet tall, but it can go down to like 3 feet wide when it's compacted together for storage use. And you'll see here later on in the PowerPoint just how that fits better into an OR setting for certain cases, and then also in a clinic room to be used there. So we are looking at wanting to add the mini C-arm to our fleet of imaging equipment, so we can use that for small part joint injections that would be done in the ortho clinic, and also small part surgical cases. So we're talking like feet, ankles, knees, hands, wrists, those kind of smaller body part imaging surgical cases. A mini C-arm does offer less radiation dose to patients and staff due to the size of it and just the makeup of how they've created all of the imaging features in it. So it would minimize that radiation dose to those people. Again, kind of repetitive a little bit here, but just that we would be able to service joint injections in the ortho clinic. Dr. Shutt, who's one of our newer ortho providers here in ortho clinic, utilizes the mini C-arms while he's doing those joint injections. He does that quite often, so he has asked us to talk about, adding this to our lineup. And then also in the small part surgical cases. So, for example, Dr. Shutt, the things that he would do in there with small part. Dr. Shu with their hand work that we help with in those OR cases, and then anything with podiatry or Dr. Junk, if we have some cases for that, we would be able to utilize this for more than one provider in more than one area. It is lightweight and compact, so I talked about that at the beginning, just to put this into perspective. And for storage space, and then also even in the procedure rooms or an ortho clinic room, it would take up a lot less space, so it'd be a lot easier to maneuver around. Which comes to our people. It's easier to maneuver than a large C-arm. Those are a little bit cumbersome when we're trying to move them just because they're so much bigger. But we have to use the large C-arms for those larger body parts, so it's a must to have those. But it is easier to maneuver. We've had requests from specialty providers, multiple specialty providers, to have this available for them to be able to run clinic and OR settings. And the medical staff, for example, those specialty surgeons would be able to operate this C-arm without diagnostic imaging technologists. Not that we wouldn't be there to assist or wouldn't do it, but if they're able to operate that themselves, it would allow DI staff to stay in the diagnostic imaging department to take care of other patient exams and needs without having to have a staff member away from the department for an hour or more to be able to assist with these cases. So that's a plus. We are anticipating that our orthopedic outreach providers will be performing additional surgical cases than what currently are, and those cases will benefit from having a mini C-arm available for them to use. And then we are also able to financially charge for the C-arm guidance during the use in the clinic and the OR setting. So be able to see us gaining some of our investment back with that guidance charge. So kind of give you a little bit of a perspective here again, like the one on the left is a mini C-arm. You can see where it's all within one unit. The larger C-arms, the C piece there that you see on the right is all by itself, and that was like the 5 to 7 foot piece. But then the monitor's on a completely separate part, so the whole assemble of the large C-arm kind of takes up a lot of space. You can see on the right here how that mini C-arm, in a comparison to the patient's foot and the table and the provider, it's just this little compact piece of equipment, and it's easy to take in and out of that surgical field and easy to maneuver with even just one hand for that provider to use. So this is what I'm talking about. We did compare 2 different vendors for the mini C-arm. We looked at GE, a Mini View Max, and then we also looked at an OrthoScan Tau 1515. So we worked with our clinic medical providers that would be interested in using this. Clinically, there was a little bit of a leg up for the maneuverability and some of the features of the GE piece. And so leaning towards that on a clinical side, that was where the preference was for being able to bring this in and use it. So GE was clinically a little bit more superb. And then you can see the financial piece there as far as the cost of the equipment, the annual service, each have a 12-month warranty. And then we did a 5-year cost projection for the piece of equipment plus 5 years of service, which that one included warranty in that first year. So the 5-year cost comparison was fairly comparable, but again, clinically we prefer the GE piece. No updates needed to the facilities, it's just in an outlet, not really anything else needed, so we didn't have to factor any of those costs in. So this would be our recommendation. We would ask for approval to purchase the GE Mini C-arm Max C-arm to be used in those settings that I had talked about.
Would you house it in the OR then?
I believe so.
Is that what's going to get?
Yes, yeah, between that and maybe the ortho clinic, I think we'll find a space for that in between one of those areas.
You mentioned new ortho procedures. because of this tool? What type of procedures in the ortho world do you see coming that we're not offering now?
I don't know if we would have new or just like more.
We would have definitely more. So Dr. Shutt's a foot and ankle specialist. And so we already had a couple cases that he requested to bring a C-arm in to complete. So he had an Achilles tear that he repaired. Really any of the foot and ankle procedures that we would do here, we're not doing a ton right now. Anything that Dr. John would add on. And then as far as Dr. Shu, I think she would choose to use this over the large C-arm now. But it wouldn't necessarily be new procedures that she would be doing. She would just choose to use this. And there is a nice, in the new space that we'll have down in outpatient for orthopedics, there's a nice little hallway between ortho and the OR suites, or the OR area, perioperative area. And there's a storage room right there, so likely it'll probably live in that space that equally accessible to both departments, so.
Are both doctors on board with the GE one? Do they like that unit?
Dr. Shutt had more opinion
Yeah.
about what he preferred, and then Dr. Shu and Dr. Jock had no preference.
And he liked this one.
Yeah, he said he likes the functionality of that just a little bit better than the ortho scan, so.
Regarding the service, so there's a year warranty on the new product, but it has to be serviced yearly. Is this a calibration thing, or does this just cover anything that goes wrong with it?
So that annual service covers the preventive maintenance, which we would do annually, making sure we do that every year, and then anything else that would come up along the way that would need repair. So parts, labor, travel time, the tube, the x-ray tubes are really expensive, so it includes that replacement, all of those things. So that was a complete service package.
What's the shelf life for this? 5 years?
10 to 12. If you treat it nice, maybe more.
No, go ahead, Janine.
Since it's mobile and there's several providers that might use it, just curious, who schedules its use?
It'll be scheduled between the the ortho clinic staff and then our OR scheduling team.
Okay.
So they'll have to work together to assure that it's available when needed.
A lot of times those three providers that we were talking about that really will probably use this the most, they don't typically have OR block time or hold clinic on the same days. So it should be available to each of them and they like to use it. So.
Just sounds very handy.
Yeah.
But to be clear, we'll still be retaining the other C-arm for, larger applications and potentially a backup.
Correct. We currently have 2 large C-arms. We do have one that's from 2007, so it's been around a while. It is our backup if needed, if we ever have to be into 2 OR procedures at the same time. We're planning on retaining both of our C-arms because we'll need them for our larger procedures, especially like pain injections. We use a large C-arm for that a couple times a month when we're performing those. So we'll plan on keeping both of those also, and then just adding this too.
So I would move the approval of the recommendation for the GE Mini View Max C-arm purchase.
Second.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
I thought it'd be like a couple hundred pounds. Was it in the
That's
budget?
because Carrie showed up, you're
Huh?
always expecting like.
Yeah,
that's
right. Right.
Put a 1 in front of it.
Yes, it's been in the budget for a while, and it did feel a little bit different to bring you something that wasn't quite so expensive, right? Like you're used to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, administrative reports. We're going to start with Chief Nursing Officer Nicole.
All right, well, I'm sure many of you have heard of some of the events that are going to be occurring in Harlan over the summer. So RAGBRAI will be coming through July 19th, and the Lucas Oil Race is moving from a 1-day event to a 3-day event. So it'll be July 16th through 18th will be the Lucas Oil Race, immediately followed by RAGBRAI on the 19th. So many of us will be working together with local agencies, EMA, EMS, to ensure that we have what we need for the huge influx of individuals that will be in the county, and make sure that we are ready to roll when the time comes.
It's a great experience for our county.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's all I have.
Great. Chief Clinic Administrator Kim.
All right, so here we are, week 3, in our new clinic space. Patients are ecstatic over it. Staff are very, very appreciative of that space. Some things have already been enhanced just with the new space, but we're continuing to work through and trying to find those ideal workflows to ensure that everything that we're doing is efficient. So yeah, things are going well.
Good.
We have a few things, you know, that definitely need improved, but it's all good.
Good.
The new counter for scheduling seems to be working out.
It's working out, yeah. I think they were working on the 4th computer yesterday, because they only had the 3 spaces up and running. But I think that's all done.
Yeah, we're looking at a curved monitor, 37-inch instead of the 2 monitors, so it frees up a little more space on there, makes it a little more patient-friendly. So they're on order, they're just back orders.
It's been quite noisy though, the last couple days. They have been working very diligently in the existing clinic, removing and demo absolutely everything. There's nothing in the ceilings anymore, every room is completely stripped down, nothing on the floors, it's just painted walls and that is it. So they're moving quick.
That'll stay towards the pod area then, it'll stay kind
It
of
will.
that pod area.
Exactly. It will remain with 3 exam rooms, or 2 exam rooms now, and then provider office and then a nurse workspace.
But overall, everyone's very happy with it.
Overall, everyone is very happy, especially with the new space, and then just kind of with the enhancements that we're going to be making in the existing space as well. It will be very nice, as Dr. Devine had mentioned, Pod A will be the existing space. Pod A will be seeing some enhancements coming up, like the addition of another patient restroom right there close, so that we can kind of keep that whole west side for the evenings and then the weekend provider.
Oh, sure.
Rather than opening up, you know, one gigantic large space.
Good.
It will just kind of keep everybody on one side.
Good.
You know, we've all been in the clinic at a time and you come out of the space and you look right, you look left, or you don't know which way necessarily to go. It will be easier way finding.
Great.
Awesome. Nothing else for Kim. Do we have, let's see. Jill's deferred, so we will punt on that one, and we'll have CIO Jeff.
All right, yeah, as Kim said, everything is going very well in the new clinic. One thing that I think the open house, we had an estimated approximate 300 people attend to it, so I mean, it was attended extremely well, and the public really liked it, and a lot of great comments over it. So I think it was a great event there. We have, as Dr. Devine had mentioned, a couple things. Windows 11, we're currently upgrading all of our computers throughout the whole entire system to Windows 11. Some of the hardware is not upgradable, so we have to replace it. We were at one time on a 20% every year to upgrade, but when COVID hit, we didn't know what was going to go on. That was kind of abandoned. So we're behind the 8 ball a little bit on the number of computers, but we're doing quite well to get everything upgraded. We also have started a migration to Office 365 or Microsoft 365 for the government. We have migrated, I think, approximately a dozen mailboxes so far, just as test and to validate everything's working. Couple things have been identified, they've been fixed, and it's going very well. So then the next 2 weeks, we'll have everybody over onto the new 365 product, take us off of an on-prem solution. We also, last month, you approved new printers. Those have delivered, some of them were delivered yesterday and are being installed today. We're starting with all of the large multi-function devices, the big standalone ones. So this week, those will be installed, and then next week, we will start on the smaller multi-function and the personal printers. So that's moving forward pretty well. A couple other construction items. We're hoping to have UR move back into their space available later this week, more likely next week. There are just a couple minor electrical things that need to occur, and then clean and get a plan to move everybody back into that space.
What
So
was that, Jeff?
UR, utilization review. We had taken their original entrance, which was on the south side, into a nurse's station, and we moved it over into the northwest hallway. A couple things. One is compliance with smoke compartments, so that made it compliant, and that space was included in the northwest hallway, but the entrance wasn't there, it was to the south. So now we comply with all the fire and smoke compartment information. We boxed in that south door, we're gonna put a cabinet in there, and there's something called a BCA, which is the Epic Emergency Access computer. It's a standalone on a separate network, and that will be housed in the UR space once we get a counter put in there. So that's just one minor thing there. So totally different entrance for them, and we were told it'd be a 3 to 4 week process, and I think we're on month 5. So a little bit of a miscalculation. As Kim mentioned, the demo on the second floor has started yesterday. This was Monday, yeah. It was pretty loud. They had a ride-on jackhammer, so to say, to get up tile. Underneath the carpet was a 12 by 12 inch tile that, I don't know what glue they used, but it was coming up in about 1 inch square pieces. So a lot of work there, but I believe it got finished about 10 o'clock last night. So as Kim said, it is barren in that space. Then the next couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, we'll start the first floor. So that'll all be, and then the entire project has an estimated completion date of April 14th. So that'll be the remodel, the outpatient specialty, the inpatient, everything on that. So appear to be on track for that date as of now. We started a number of the punch list items up on the med-surg area, so things are progressing there. Rooms 224, 225 have been sheetrocked, so they are progressing nicely also. I believe the flooring is going to be scheduled here shortly to be put in. Paint, once those rooms are done, we'll do another punch list on kind of the second half of that project. So those items will all be, but we're occupying the nurses station. Up until last week, we occupied all of the rooms down the west hallway. We vacated those to do the work inside of the room, so it wasn't patient affecting, and things are progressing there. Hopefully we'll get those back this week yet. A couple electrical issues that are being taken care of. Basically the coordination of lights with the pedal speakers, we had an issue there, so hopefully the last one will be fixed today. And then last night also, the new entry into the old cardiac rehab space was cut in. They worked till 11 o'clock last night to get that opened. Had a little bit of concern and noises. It was still being heard up in our inpatient space quite late, but that's all done. Shouldn't hear any more loud noises, hopefully, but things are progressing there. Next week, you'll see, if you come in the outpatient specialty clinic where the restroom is there off to the right a little bit, there will be an ICRA wall because half of that space is going to be the back half of an exam room. So they're ready to start that. Once the cardiac rehab space is done, they'll move up to the nurses station, remodel that, and then to our MAC office and employee break room. So things are progressing. Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, the last thing on my list. Consider it for substantial completion. Kyle and I sat in with the architects last week, and we have come up with a date internally we proposed. However, we do not have concurrence with the architect or the general contractor at this time, so we cannot do anything with this. It talks about phase 1. That is the new construction of the new rural health clinic. So that is the phase 1. They want, we're requesting substantial completion on that. Until we get concurrence, we can't do anything. But then phase 2 will be the entire project. So our goal is to have approval on the first phase, and so then the warranty starts after that. as of that date, and it'll be, somewhere in December timeframe within the month when we can negotiate dates. But then the overall will be on April 14th for the balance. So it's really for warranty purposes. Until we get that letter from the architect, we can't do anything. So more than likely, I'll be bringing this back next board meeting for approval.
Perfect. Okay, so no action required there. Let's jump next to the CEO, Kyle.
Yeah. Week 4, still alive. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
It's fantastic here. I'm very impressed by the overall directors and managers and everybody that's worked here. You guys got a great crew. I have a great crew now. So med staff is fantastic to work with, Dr. Devine. I don't have a lot to report because Jeff stole. I was going to talk about the open house and stuff, but he took it home. So, but outside of that, everything's going fine. So I don't have anything really to report this month.
We're very happy to have you here.
Yeah, well,
I'm glad to be
I just want
here.
to say that. Welcome.
I'm slowly transitioning from a Kansan to an Iowan. So
it'll be easy transition.
yeah.
You don't get ice at least. I think maybe you got ice at home.
Actually, they got 5 to 10 inches last weekend when we got nothing here. So
See, makes it simpler.
yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you, Kyle. Next, we'll go to the CFO, Christie.
So to go through November here quickly, so for November of 2025 and 2024, as you can see there, we again continue to have a 2% increase in our outpatient visits for the year to date. In emergency room visits, we had 9.6% higher, so we're at 529 for the month of November. Surgical procedures, we had 118. Year to date, we're at 10% higher than we did the previous year. Physician clinic visits, we had almost 3,299 in their real health clinics. We are down 1.8% year to date in the hospital, in those clinic visits. Behavioral health, we were at 1,021 visits in November. We are up 3.8% in our behavioral health or mental health services as of so far in November. Average daily census was 5.83 patients per day in November of this year, 7.03 last year. We are down 7.7% in our number of patients per day for year to date. Births, we had 5. We're at 48 for the year compared to 51 last year. 5.9 million in net operating income, 5.5 million in net operating expenses. We had other non-operating net of $31,000 expense, and that's related to interest on the loan that we're doing for the construction project. So we were at $443,000 in net income in November. Year to date, we're at 2.5 million compared to 1.2 million last year, so we're up about 28%. Any questions on November?
Like our emergency care, like our weekend care, where do those fall in? Do they fall in the physician clinic visits or are they in
What's that?
The evenings and the
the
weekends?
evening
Yes.
and weekend?
Yes,
Okay.
evening and weekends are in the physician's clinic, yes.
Okay.
So just, you can see there quickly, and I think it was in your packet too, the year to date for the first 5 months of 2025, 2024, 2023, and 2022. So you can see the trend there is in most of the situations were either pretty consistent or we've gone up. We've seen a continual increase in outpatient visits, increase there for this year to date in emergency room. We are seeing higher surgical procedures this year. Our physician's clinic visits are pretty consistent. We're up last year was a good month through November of last year. So we're 300 less, 200 and some less now than what we had last year is all. The behavioral health visits, we saw more of a lull in there in 2023 and 2024, but we are coming back up. That's been mostly issues with trying to find staff. Bursts there have been pretty consistent, saw that low year in 2023. And as you can see there, our revenues have also continued to climb throughout those 4 comparable years.
Can I ask you a question? You added another behavioral therapist. What would that produce for like visits? Do you have any idea? Like, how many do we have on staff now?
Well, we're going to be full staffed here, well, we just did interview for the last position, that would be back up to full staff.
So we're fully staffed with the 3 medication providers,
Okay.
and then there's the therapist. And that's what Christy's talking about, we just interviewed for that last open spot that we have.
Okay.
Um,
Are we still experiencing wait times then, like?
Not like we were, it takes just a little bit to get built up,
Sure.
for each therapist and have their people, but best scenario is to have a certain amount of clientele that they have, that they work with, because sometimes they're seen every week, sometimes they're seen every other week, monthly, depending upon the person. So that does create a little bit of a wait time, because you can't get everybody in and then still continue to meet their needs. So they have their caseload, and then as maybe some people come off, then somebody who comes onto their caseload.
I think to answer your question a little bit is, our therapist, the cost of investing in a therapist is covered at least. We definitely break even for therapists that come on board, and it will become a little bit different here with it now that we're in the RHC, because reimbursement will be different.
I just always worried that the wait time was my biggest concern with the patient, the patients that had to go in there. If it was a 30-day wait, that doesn't always, that's just my concern.
Was group therapy opened? Like, were some of those group sessions added? So like if it is a long wait, I remember Lindsay talking about that.
We did have the group sessions so that patients could get in same week. We do have other crisis appointments available so that we can see somebody, at that time, even if they are on that wait list. So yeah, that absolutely helps.
What's a beautiful area up there.
It's awesome.
Glad to see it being utilized with full staff. Good.
So I can run through December then too. So for the 6 months, for the half of the fiscal year ended December 31st of 2025 and 2024, we continue to have really strong months. We have outpatient visits in December of 5,196. Again, year to date, we're up 2.8%. So we're over 31,569 patient visits in 6 months. Emergency room visits, we were at 555, 3,182 for the year to date, so we're up 7.5%. Surgical procedures were at 135 this year compared to 72 last year for the month of December. So we're at 816 compared to 691, so we're up 18.1%, which is absolutely wonderful. Physicians clinic visits, we had 3,791 in December. Year to date, we're at 22,065 compared to 22,267, so just a slight decrease there, minimal. Behavioral health, 1,166 visits in December. Year to date, we're at over 7,059 visits. The previous 6 months of last year was 6,825, so we're up 3.4%. Average daily census, we had a high average daily census in December of 8.07, comparable to 8.4 last year. Year to date is 6.91 compared to 7.37, so we're still down 6.2%. Births, we had 8 births in December, 10 in December of last year, 56 year to date, 62 year to date last year, so we're down 9.7. Net operating was 6.2 million, 5.5 million in operating expenses, and a positive net additional non-operating revenue of 96,000. So we were at 786,000 in the month of December of this year. Year to date, we're at 3.8 million compared to 2.8 million last year at the same 6-month period, so we're up 36.1%.
Awesome.
Any questions on those?
The increase in outpatient revenue, is that primarily, is any of that because of new services offered, or is it, you know, like with the robot and everything, or is it just coincidental that that's where a big chunk of revenue is in the outpatient side?
We keep continuing, we've added more ortho. You know, we have Dr. Garten here now, so that's been a little bit of that increase there, and likewise in surgical procedures. You know, that can fluctuate a lot with the consistency of our providers that come out here, that they continue to come out here. I think they've been consistent with filling their scheduled times that they're out here. Our infusion center continues to grow and be busier, which is where we do our chemotherapy, plus we do some other medication injections there. Allergy shots play a lot of parts in that too. There's a lot of allergy shots, so.
And the outpatient visits also include diagnostic imaging and lab
Yeah,
as well. So
labs.
if any lab draw, any diagnostic imaging exam, that sort of thing as well. So it's not just specialty provider visits, so.
Great.
I would say the surgical procedures definitely have seen a bump with Dr. Garten being here, and we can just consistently schedule out versus, you know, having to play around that locum schedule for the last year and a half, so.
With all the construction and everything else, with this increase in revenue, we feel that it's in a good, strong financial position as far as available cash on hand. We're not uncomfortable with anything
No,
moving
no.
forward.
What kind of magic percentage or ratio, or how do you budget for a new building? For direct costs like heat and insurance and,
Well, when we budget for insurance, we kind of have an estimate. We always talk with our brokers and talk about what's going to go up. We do the same with our health insurance. Utilities, we always figure a 4 or 5% increase. Now, with our HC, we added extra because we're going to have all that square footage, so we would look at square footage. We added more staffing because of the space to clean. Really lighting, you know, probably not a big hit on lighting costs because it's hopefully efficient.
It's all LED lighting.
Yeah. So realistically, the major direct cost would be the additional square footage and the,
right.
yeah.
Were there any additional environmental services added, or?
We added one individual to help specifically for the new clinic.
Okay,
So
all right. Those are probably questions I should ask when we built the building, but I'm just curious how you did that. Thank you.
We will complete our loan. So our loan was set up that we would start monthly payments the 1st of March because that's when it was anticipated we would be done.
Okay.
So I just had conversation with the bank this morning that we will go ahead and draw the rest of that $10 million down by by the 10th of February, and then we'll get on our monthly payment schedule. So that will start kicking in, and March 1st will be our first payment. And that was all figured into our cash flows and our budgeting and everything for interest expense. For a 6-month year-to-date comparison for the last 4 years is there too. Again, you can see that we continue to climb in most of our service areas, which is great. Surgical and outpatient surgical procedures are very important to us financially, so we'll continue to hopefully grow those with the orthopedics, and thus why Carrie had proposed the C-arm so that we can increase those services. Physician clinic visits continue to be consistent there. Am I going backwards? It seems like those are the same numbers, but anyhow, yeah. So basically then to the, so I guess we need approval of the November and December financials.
Move approval.
I'll second.
Have a first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, so we'll update our policy, always the first of every year to the IRS. mileage rate, which is 72.5 cents per mile. So we'll get that updated. I did just want to make the statement too, we have heard nothing on our grants for the Rural Health Initiative funding. They said mid-January, and I've checked them every day, and they still say they're under review, so at least we know it's not a no yet anyhow, so. And then consideration of approval of the corporate resolution for bank signatures. So with Ruth kind of takes.
We have new officers, so with all of the officers, the banks have to have new signature cards.
So we'll need
There's
it.
like 9 institutions we have.
I'll make a motion to approve the new slate.
I'll second that.
All right, first and a second on favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now the public hearing date for tax asking.
Okay, I guess we didn't get this. So Kyle and I have been going through the tax budget and looking at the rates of the current, where we currently are compared to the where other hospitals are in our area, where if you look at the tax rate, we are the 8th lowest in the state for county hospitals. And if you look at the tax dollars that we get, we're the 7th lowest in the state. So we felt pretty comfortable with making the recommendation that we basically leave our tax levy the same. Just a very, very slight increase because the agreement that we have with the Shelby County Ambulance is that that amount we give them goes up 5%, so it'll go up to 105,000. So that was the only increase in the levy that we would have seen this next year. So our levy currently is at 94.7 cents per thousand. And basically, that it changes basically from 0.94711 to 0.94710. So really it, with the levy there, let me see here, something's not sense. Okay, so basically our tax levy, that our tax rate before we do the ambulance remains completely the same. We would go to a 9 cent for our $100,000 asking for tax for the ambulance help this year to a 9 cent 0.044. So it goes up 0.00028 cents per thousand. The property valuations did increase almost 52 million in the county. So with leaving our tax asking the same, generally, we will receive $49,000 more in tax money with the same rate.
And with the changes in the legislature proposed for property tax, do we have any inkling of potential impacts on that with any caps or any property tax relief that's going to reduce what that valuation is for the next year?
I do not believe that, to my knowledge, I don't believe that it will affect us. Our rates are pretty well capped the way it is, and we just get the fluctuation of the valuations. So if they do something with the valuations, yes, it could potentially change.
That probably wouldn't take effect for another year.
Whole year.
It will be the next budget year.
Right.
I mean,
Talked about now.
it will affect this budget that we're proposing.
And I don't know how we actually plan for that because we have to advertise and everything.
And I keep looking for IHA to be saying something.
Yeah.
IHA isn't saying much about this, but this will affect valuations that we tax off of. So that's where I'm personally hedging my bets about where we're gonna get a cap on some of these things and the valuation decrease that could come.
Yeah,
It's really unpredictable right now. So, but if you're comfortable with that, I think it's good to go forward with.
But I don't
We-
think that'll
we
take
kinda
effect right away though, because I'm thinking it's gonna, I know it'll take effect next year, but those taxes are gonna be assessed now, which will be payable in 26 and 27. So the new rates won't get paid till March of 28 and 29.
I don't think that's true. They will pass something this session and it will affect next year's tax cycle.
But those won't be collectible until the following year.
Because you're always a year behind on the property
I
tax.
think we're okay yet this year.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
it always lags behind, and I would find it very rare that they could do that right now, because everybody's going through this process of setting their budgets now. They would have to kind of open something else to allow for folks to
But that was
either,
the same scenario as last year, which it didn't happen until April. Right now it's happened in January, so we will know sooner, but it will affect the 27 budget year, so.
well, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on it.
We'll have to. It'll be a mutiny, I think, if they do some capping on that stuff, because all those local entities on a local level are already stressed to the max already, because the state has pushed a lot of these costs back down to the county level, and their counties are getting taxed immensely. So our property taxes continue to go up because they gotta make up for that shortfall. Like your income taxes are coming down, but your local taxes are coming up to offset those expenses that the state's pushing back to the county level. So it'll be interesting to see how that all balances out. But,
Stay tuned.
stay tuned.
So we will, I guess we need to ask for approval to set the public hearing date at our next board meeting, which is February 24th at noon. And we'll have to post this in the proposed tax budget in the paper for at least 14 days, minimum of 14 days prior to that meeting.
I'll
so.
make that motion.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Christie. Anything else to go before the open meeting here today, before we go into closed session? If not, closed session request per Iowa Code 21.51I. Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Let's take roll call.
Aye.
Larson, aye.
Aye, Norton.
Jim's aye.
Frederick, aye.
Kate, aye.
Terry, aye.
All right. Motion approved. We're now in closed session. Thank you.